Hello, everyone. Welcome to tonight's event, When Micro is Macro. It's really, really amazing to see everyone from so many places. I love it. I love it. I see Teaneck, New Jersey, Clifton. Okay, this is New York, New Jersey area. Chile, Buenos Aires. I hope I said that right. Massachusetts. California. Yeah, okay, we have somebody from Cali, Raleigh. So for everybody tonight, we are really very lucky to have Mrs. Sue Koltai joining us. Sue and I actually go way back. I'm Tehila Friedland. I work for Partners in Torah, and I help run some of the events that are going on here. So if you've joined Level Up, that's my job, to help make sure things run smoothly. And I've known Sue, as I said, for many years, and recently she went through something, and I had the pleasure of hearing her and seeing her in a different way. Sue came and spoke locally for us, and when we were planning Level Up, we just felt like hearing her speak was something that would be so impactful for all of you. What we're going to do is we're going to have Sue, she's going to let us know a little bit about what she came here to tell us tonight. And we are going to have questions and answers towards the end.
I just muted. Did I mute?
So if you have any questions, you can feel free at the end to raise your hand or put them into the chat box. Jamie, who works here at Partners in Torah and is helping with Level Up, will be able to moderate your questions and make sure we get back to you later on. Okay, and with no more ado, Sue, you can take it away.
Okay, good evening. I wish we could be in person. I'm much more familiar with seeing actual faces, but it's so amazing to see people from all over the place. I myself am from California. My husband's from California as well. So it's great to see people from all over the world. So my husband and I actually met on a blind date in California, and we got married and we moved straight away to New York. From there, we moved to Israel for a couple of years, had a couple of kids there, moved back to Passaic, New Jersey. We were there for 14 years, which was amazing. We had the rest of our kids there. And then 8 years ago, we were really given the great opportunity to go move to Israel. We've been living in Israel for 8 years. We were gifted with 7 beautiful kids, and I now have 6 gorgeous grandchildren. I have 3 married kids, and we always wanted to move back to Israel, but each year, it was a question of what's right for our family, what's right for our kids. And every year we asked, and every year we said, no, this kid's not going to do well. This kid won't do well. Finally, we moved to Israel. We had 4 kids living at home. 1 was in 7th grade, and then my youngest is going into 1st grade. Thank God, all my kids were pretty good with languages, especially my oldest going into 7th grade, who now has a baby. And she was able to kind of plow through and help us acclimate. My youngest, Elazar Yitzchak, who we nicknamed Aussie, just fell into Israel full throttle, totally a happy, easygoing child, and quickly managed to acclimate to the class. There were a lot of nice boys. And, 6 months later, he was fluent in Hebrew. So he went 1st through 8th grade in Israel. He had his bar mitzvah last year. It was on the porch since it was the middle of COVID. And, our family was very much enmeshed very much into Israel. So I'm going to focus now on what the focus of tonight is, that in Israel, there's a holiday, Lag BaOmer. The holiday exists everywhere. It's a small holiday. But in Israel, it's actually celebrated with a lot of fun. Boys from Pesach start collecting wood and furniture and anything that's flammable they can get their hands on. In fact, merchants will save things to give to the boys, and they'll trek out and create these huge, structures that on Lag BaOmer they're going to light and create personal bonfires. Some do it with their classes, some do it alone. My son always did it with a friend because he didn't like it if anybody disagreed. Like if the class did it, the classes often do it themselves with the rabbi. And it, usually you have kids fight. It should be this way. It should be this way. We should use this. It should look like this. And Ozzy was never into that kind of disagreement. So he always made his own. And then this year, it just happened that on a whim, he went up to Meron. It wasn't planned, but he was absolutely excited to go. And he went. It's a very special time to be up at Meron, which is the burial place for Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, which is the acronym is Rashbi. And so thousands and thousands and thousands of Jews from all walks of life, from all parts of Israel, from out of Israel, gather on this night, and they have huge, huge, huge bonfires. And there's a tremendous feeling of unity and a special kind of feeling. There's singing and there's dancing. There's busloads of people, and there's huge tents of food that people give for free. It's a wonderful, beautiful, beautiful holiday. Unfortunately, this year there was a tragic accident, and 45 extremely special people died that night. I think that they, from what we understand, they died at 12:45 at night. We didn't find out about it until 5:30 the next day. We spent that whole day not sure if he was lost, not sure where he was, asking people from all walks of life, all my son's friends looking for him, people taking challah, people praying, people going up to the mountain, people doing whatever they could to find. There were lots of people who were lost. Thank God most of them were found. And so we found out very, very close to Shabbos that my son was one of those that died on the mountain. And he was an extraordinary child. We knew from the moment he could talk that he was something special, that he was a little bit different, that he took life with both an ease and a seriousness. He knew when to be serious. He knew when to laugh. He took opportunities where most of us don't. We found out, we knew a lot about his life because we live with him. But during Shiva, we really found out that so many other people had experienced this special child. We learned I think one of the first stories that really struck us was when 3 street cleaners came in, and they came in full street cleaner uniform, and they came into daven Shachris, the morning prayers. And afterwards they asked to speak with us, and they said, we didn't know who your son was. We didn't know his name. He wouldn't know where he went to school. But every day that he saw us, he would say, thank you. Thank you for keeping our streets clean. And he did this a lot. And he did it with a lot of purpose and meaning and joy. Excuse me. And that meant a lot. And we thought, wow, how special. It wasn't so surprising to us because he, once a week, they would thank the mayor out, in the dining room. We would say, thank you, mayor, for keeping our streets clean. We knew he loved the streets clean. But then lots of other people came and said, your son said hello to us. Your son paid attention to us, from the dry cleaner to the barber to the bookstore person to the florist. Almost every vendor in our neighborhood made a point of coming to Shiva because he touched them and he affected them, including the Arab workers who had done construction in our house 7 years ago. They refused to work when they found out that our son died because he was the only child they had ever worked with in 30 years who honored them and respected them and knew how to ask questions but not be annoying at the same time. He was a kid that had a lot of joy, he took care of not just people, but he had fish that were very special to him. He had plants. They started growing during COVID. But in very Aussie fashion, first he learned the laws of how to plant these plants called the rules of Koltai. And then we planted, and he watered them and ran home and took care of them after COVID. He had herbs and beans and tomatoes. And the pattern came through in Shiva that with everybody, he took the opportunity to find out what they needed, to find out what was special to them. He did this at home as well. He learned to crochet when I was crocheting blankets for my grandchildren, not because he cared about crocheting, but because he cared about me. And, you know, with every person in the family, he found out what meant something to them. And he would do that activity, whether it was playing chess or ping pong or learning or biking. He would bike with my husband on Friday afternoons because my husband liked to bike. He loved it also, but he especially wanted to do it because he wanted to be with his father. And so we saw the pattern that he looked at small activities and he took them seriously. You know, we're all in situations that we can either choose, we can look at the situation as an opportunity or as a bother. You know, people who are on the street with you, people who are in your home, people who are in your work, each of those people are in your reality. And he chose to be aware of those people. He chose to be aware of his reality, and he chose to do very small things. He seemed to understand the value and the way the Torah speaks about treating people. That's what he wanted to do. Whatever he was taught by his rabbis or by his parents, he put it into action in very small ways. And so when we were talking about this during Shiva, we were talking about how Aussie used to make fun of his sisters and brothers and their marriages and call them tiny couples and call his older sisters microscopic. And so he put those ideas together and we said, really, he's doing micro-mitzvahs. He's doing small acts, small gestures, but they're not random. They're purposeful and they're thought out and they're with joy. You know, every picture of my son is with a huge smile. And people wanted to be around him. He took the time to care about people. And, you know, children who were in our house, he took the time to find out what they like to do. And whatever they like to do, that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to make the people in our home feel comfortable and feel happy. And that's what he did. So what we're trying to do is we've created a foundation called the Aussie Foundation, azifoundation.org. And we are trying to help people understand, how do you take this idea of taking on something small and putting it in your life. You know, first you need to have a goal. You need to have something in your life that you want, some idea of who you want to be, and break that down to something tiny and make it a habit. And they say that, you know, you can learn something 101 times, and that 101st time, it's going to make an imprint on you. It's going to become part of you. It's going to integral to who you are. But it takes all those times. Really, you have synapses in your brain, and if you do the same activity over and over and over, you're creating a pattern in your brain. You know, in the physical reality, we call it a habit, but in your brain, it's a synapse. It's a reaction that's happening in your brain. And the more you do these tiny acts, the more they become a part of who you are. And it doesn't become uncomfortable to do them. It just becomes what you can do. And each time you take a small act and make it part of you, then you can add to that act and make it a bigger act. That my son was a master at taking on small things and looking only at his environment. He didn't need to leave his environment. He didn't need to leave who he was to make an impact on everyone around him, which made an impact on himself. And So I think what we're trying to do in our foundation is teach people how to take the small things, how to make them part of who you are, how to make yourself better. And, as a legacy of my son, and taking those big things and taking those small things rather, and making them really big.
Yeah, I think one of the things when we discussed earlier also, which I found phenomenal, and I remember Aussie being like this also, was he'd find something, and it wasn't just he would learn it and then that was okay, that's it, like, stored away in the back of his mind. It was something he learned, and he immediately, just like you said, he immediately put it into practice.
So, one example of that is, a big thing in a boy's life is putting on tefillin. And for every bar mitzvah boy, they first start doing a bar mitzvah. It's a very, very big thing in many boys' lives. But there's lots and lots of rules on how you're supposed to do it. And my son was given books by his learning partner, and they talked about the laws of putting on tefillin. And I thought, okay, he's going to learn it. He'll learn some now, he'll learn some later. But he learned feverishly, and he learned with anyone he could find, with his brothers, with his brother-in-laws, with his father, with his teacher, with his learning partner. It didn't matter, everybody. And one day I asked him, I said, sweetie, why are you learning so crazy? You're going to be doing this the rest of your life. You have the rest of your life to learn this. He said, no, mommy, you don't understand. Soon I'm going to don tefillin for the first time. I want to do it right the first time. So even though putting on the tefillin is something small and something you're going to do every day, you can grow with it every day, that was a goal for him, to do it right. And he learned everything good about doing it right. But he was so clear on, this is who I am, this is what I want to do. And he found such joy in it because it's something he decided he wanted to do. So it wasn't hard, it wasn't a burden. He was delighted, he was thrilled. And till the day he died, people told us they would see him on the streets with his tefillin every day with the same joy. And I think part of that, what we saw as part of his joy, was that innocence of always trying to do the right thing. He never had to regret anything. He never looked back and said, I wish I'd done this, I wish I'd done that. Those small acts that we say, oh, I wish I had said hi to that person. I wish I had called my friend. I wish I'd given that gift. I wish I'd gone to that wedding. I wish I had opened that door. He just did it because he had the idea of, I'm doing everything right now that I can. So he didn't have any regrets.
So if we had to
from a place of joy.
So if we had to put it into encapsulate it, do you think that it would be accurate to say first that he found his goal? You knew what his goal was. He knew what he wanted his life to be like. And then from there, he found his opportunities to do that.
I think for him, he was coming from a very specific perspective. I think for him, his goal was living the Torah life, was really living the way God wanted him to live, was living the way his rabbis wanted him to live. And he wanted to have fun doing it. So he found ways to make everything fun, whether it was playing ping pong or taking out the trash for mom, he found ways to make it fun. He found opportunities to do what he was supposed to do and to do it right and have fun with it. We don't know what his goals were because he didn't really talk about it. But if it was written in the Torah, that's what he wanted to do. That was his goal. His goal was to do whatever it said to do. It's a pretty big goal.
Yeah.
I don't know any of us who are going to get to that goal, but we can try. We can find one thing. We can find one thing to do, one big goal.
So if we wanted to take away something from tonight and learn how we can take those opportunities, those micro-mitzvahs. I know when you and I spoke offline, you said, I said, well, what's too much? What's too little? What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to choose?
So I think, first you have to find that one thing, either that strength you have or something you see in the distance. And it can be very basic. Like, I want to be a happy person. That's a really big goal. huge, and say, what do I do today? What do I do right now? What does a happy person do? And you have to first look at yourself and say, if I can name that goal, that means I can become that goal. Because if everyone on this Zoom were to sit down and we would say, okay, what's your goal? Each of you would really come up with something very different, because you're going to think of, it's going to be something that means a great deal to you. Even though you might say, wow, that's crazy goal. That's nuts. No, nothing's nuts. Nothing's crazy. Nothing's too big. It's a goal. It's not what you're doing today. It's not your habit, but it's your big lifelong goal. And you should have lifelong goals. You know, when you're a little kid, when you're 4 years old, people say, what do you want to be when you grow up? Doesn't that sound crazy to ask a 4-year-old what they're going to do when they're 20? And yet we ask them because we want them to think years ahead. You have to have a goal so you can get there. You know, when you have your GPS, you tell it an address. If you don't give your GPS an address, you're not going anywhere. And that's your goal. And so you can have that big goal. That big goal can be, I want to be a happy person. So now you say, okay, what does a happy person do? I am going to be a happy person. So maybe that means I'm going to smile at one person today. One, just one. And maybe you're going to habit stack it. You're going to couple it with something that you already do. I go to my car every single morning to go to work. So on my way to my car, I'm going to smile at the first person and say, hello, good morning. And that's it. I'm not going to expect anything else from myself for a while, but I'm going to do that small thing every single day. And it's part of that big goal. And so as that happy person, you did that one tiny step. But how amazing that you took that one tiny step. If you keep doing it, you're going to create an imprint on yourself so that now you say, oh, I said hi to someone every single day. That feels good. That's not hard anymore. And now you can build on it and say, what else would a happy person do? What's my next step? And it's just very, very small, but you do have to have some big goal. And you know what? If you pick a really big goal and you take a small step and in a few days it doesn't work, so either you made too big a step or maybe you have the wrong goal. And that's okay. It's okay to have the wrong goal. It's okay to try again. We're all working. We're all trying. You know, I know with my son, there were times when he did something that wasn't correct and would say, you know, maybe you need to do this way. And rather than arguing with us, he would just say, oh, okay. And he would go learn it and he would go figure it out. So it's okay to make the mistake. It's okay to fall down. It's okay to not complete it. But how amazing if everybody on this program picked a really big goal and wrote it down and then broke it down to the smallest step you can find and did it every single day. And what if we shared that with someone close to us or our learning partner and said, you maybe ask me every day, did I do my goal? Maybe ask me every day. And maybe after a week say, wow, I did it. I can do it another week. And I can do it another week. And now I can build on it very, very slowly. And it should be something that takes 2 minutes, not half an hour, not an hour. Something that takes 2 minutes. You know, I remember during Shiva, someone said, I'm going to be a positive person. So that's phenomenal. Why don't you try 10 minutes and not when your kids are getting up? Try 10 quiet minutes and be positive. And even those 10 minutes, you think, well, there's no one home. Well, great. You're going to be positive for 10 really good minutes. And that's going to build on itself. And, you know, in our family, we talk a lot about Yaakov's ladder, Jacob, in the story of Jacob going up and down the ladder, the angels going up and down the ladder, that there wasn't an elevator. It wasn't a mountain. It was a ladder. There's a lot of symbolism in the ladder in the Torah. You go up one tiny step, but you have to go up. You can't just sit and look at the ladder, and you can't run up the ladder. There's a ladder. You're supposed to go up, and you take one small step. And that's what we do. We take our legs and we take one small step.
That's beautiful. I want to take the time now for anybody who has any questions, we wanted to make this interactive, and I know that Sue has a lot of really great ideas that can really help everybody. Aussie was a great example of how we can really jump into growth. We shouldn't be afraid of it. We should take it on. Aussie was 13, but he did so much. So if anybody has any questions about, how micro mitzvahs work, what they could choose, what's too big or what's too small, we'd love to take your questions. You can add it to the chat box or you can raise your hand. Does the Aussie Foundation have a website?
Great question. Thank you. That was a softball. The Aussie Foundation, it's the AussieFoundation.org, AZI, the AussieFoundation.org. We just put it up. We are slowly adding material to it. I've never done a website, so we're getting a lot of help. And really the website is just to make people aware of micro mitzvahs. I'm going to be monitoring it to help people through the process. I'm open to speaking to people, to working with people. We're going to give out educational materials to schools and yeshivas who want to implement. So yeah, AussieFoundation.org.
Wonderful.
AZI.
Okay. Does anybody have any other questions? Oh, the question that was asked, somebody just asked, was if the Aussie Foundation had a website, and yes, yes, they do. And you can go visit that online.
It's the AussieFoundation.org.
Yes, somebody just
One long
mentioned
word.
it's important to get the word "the" in there.
Absolutely.
And, okay.
I have a question, if it's okay.
Mhm.
First of all, I want to thank you so much for sharing your story and for inspiring all of us today. And I just would love some guidance when you're suffering your loss and you're missing the person. How do you find the koach and strength to focus on micro mitzvahs and growing? How do you find the room and space for that?
I think it's an amazing question, and I think we once thought that we'll never have that kind of understanding. We won't be in that place. And we are. And there's a lot of us who are in that place. And we can share being in that place. I think for us, the first day after getting up was really hard. It was super hard. And there's something we say in the morning when we first get up, which is Modani, and we thank Hashem for getting up. And that was for me one of the hardest things in my life, was to say, thank you, Hashem, for giving me back my life, because I didn't really want to live. I didn't really want to get up. But I said, Hashem gave me my neshama back, and he wants me to do something now. And so I can, you have a choice. You have a choice of living with the despair and the great pain, or getting up and saying, okay, if I really believe there's a God out there, I believe that I have to get up and do something, and I can take him with me and I can do it for him. And I think my family is very clear that he left us a job. He gave us a job to do. He provided us with this model of really how a person should live. A person should respect everybody. A person should try to grow every single day. A person should try to learn every single day. A person should try to have deep relationships. He did that at 13. He gave us the job of spreading his light, of spreading what he was and who he was. And so you have a choice of, am I going to get up and try to take his memory with me and live while I can, or do nothing? It's really a choice. And I can tell you that it's as you know, it's a tough choice, but you are alive. So you're given that opportunity. And God willing, if we get enough people doing, honestly, if we get enough people doing micro mitzvahs, then maybe I can see my son again. It's one of our big goals.
Thank you.
I'd like to see my son again.
Yes. Amen. Thank you.
Beautiful. We had one other question from Bella Wishnevetsky, if I could find it. Hey, Bella. 1 second. So Bella wrote, how do you maintain positivity and prevent ourselves from feeling guilty or bad when we fail to meet even our personal micro-mitzvah? Good question.
The year is like a spiral. We have seasons, we have holidays, and it's not that it's a circle that just meets, but it's a spiral. And every year, the same day comes around, and we're given a chance to make it a little better. And Hashem gives us Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur and Sukkot and Purim and Hanukkah and Pesach, all these different holidays with a different strength to push us and to give us new strength to keep going. And, the reason we're here is because we still have work to do, all of us. And, anyone who's perfect is no longer with us. So we're all here together. We're all here working. We're all here growing. And if you make a mistake, say you just get up and try again. I look at my grandchildren who are learning to walk. I have 3 who are on their way to learning to walk. And they try and they try and they fall, and they take a step and they fall, and they take 2 steps and they fall, and they roll over and they just get up again. And I think one reason that Hashem gave us babies, either our own or our friends or our siblings, is to teach us not to give up. Those babies take thousands of steps before they actually walk. And so too, it's going to take 1,000 of our steps of trying to do something small in order for us to accomplish that. But every day is a new day. Every day is a new opportunity. The sun is coming up again. So if the sun's coming up again, I have a new opportunity. And Hashem is putting me in a new situation so I can try to do it better today. And, clearly there's a reason why we have Rosh Hashanah every single year. And we have Yom Kippur every single year. Hashem is giving us a new chance to do it right every single year. And so you just keep going up every day. What can I do today? And don't worry about, yes, you have to reflect. My son, which was astonishing when he died, every boy, I don't know how many of you have kids, but, boys have all this stuff in their pockets and folded papers and toys and things they collect, and they just shove them in their pockets. So every so often my dryer would be a disaster because of all the papers that my son had in his pockets. And, every year I would clean his room with him for Pesach, for Passover. And we would find these little pieces of paper, and I never asked what was on them. It was his stuff. He chose to clean it out. He chose not to. I didn't ask. But after he died, we looked at those pieces of paper. We opened them up, and we saw that he had been keeping records for himself on his personal growth. He had kept records on how he was praying, on if he was accomplishing his own goals. His rabbis didn't know it, his teachers, his parents, his siblings, his friends. No one knew. It was his. And he was doing it up until the day he died. And he was 13. So maybe we can try to do that also. Maybe we can keep a journal and say, just the micro-mitzvah. Am I doing that one thing today? And if I didn't, okay, I'm going to try again tomorrow. What else can I do? And just keep trying. The reason we're here is to keep trying.
I want to just segue, because I know we're getting close to finishing. We said until 8:45. I know Susan has her hand up. I want to make sure that we get your question. So Susan, if you could just quickly unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi, thank you. I'm Susan Robin. I'm in Hollywood, Florida. Thank you so much for sharing your experience, strength, and hope with us, and some real ways of moving through life. And I just want to offer this, that you're a member of a club that nobody wants to belong to. When you bury a child, you don't have to explain it to anyone who's done it. And if you haven't done it, you can't explain it. So my shades off to you. And I just want to share that something that helped me was I tried to think like, why I believe we all have a mission. And I'm like, what did my son do? What did he do that I'm still here and I haven't done? And I realized he accepted people just like they were. So that became my, can I accept people just as they are? And then I realized he died at 14, like I needed to have some fun in his honor. I needed to have joy. And I remember writing a memorial at him, and it just came my hand saying, thank you, Hashem, for every moment this child was in my life. Because every moment was a gift. Not guaranteed long. Someone came to me and said, listen, I have got this really great gift. I'm going to have to bring it back. Do you still want it? And I would say, yes, I want it. I didn't know that when I got the gift. You know, but,
Wow, thank you.
God,
That's
the
very
people
special.
like you all, helping us get through it day by day. Thanks. I love that coupling it with something. I'm taking that.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And you're right. The children who are not with us, they accomplish their goals. And we need to accomplish ours. Or, we need to take what they did and make it part of us and share it. I didn't realize until my son died how many people that he affected and in the ways he affected them. I mean, some of my son's friends, their parents came to us and say, your son impacted my son forever. He changed my son's life. And I would never have known it if my son had lived. I didn't know it. There were plenty of ways that he made sure to take care of others in a quiet way, with no press release, with no validation, with no, stickers or rewards or presents. He just did it because it was the right thing to do. And he was very quiet about it. People told me he took out their trash. He helped them build their sukkahs. He cleaned the classroom. For 2 months, my son came home late, 20 minutes in, 5th grade. And we couldn't figure out why he was coming home late. He wouldn't tell us. He was like, oh, whatever. I was like, oh, maybe he's finally playing soccer. Like he never would play soccer. Maybe he's finally playing with his friends. But it was curious. He's exactly 20 minutes late every single day. What's going on? Or 30 minutes late, whatever it was. And so my husband finally asked the school, like, do you know what our son is doing? And one of the rabbis happened to be staying late at school, and he found out that the janitor had been sick. And for 2 months, no one was cleaning the classroom. And my son would wait till everybody left, and he would clean the classroom. Because the Rebbe, talked to him, and he said, it's not appropriate to learn Torah in a dirty classroom. So he would stay and clean it by himself. And we didn't know until the Rebbe followed him and found out. So, to me, that was a huge thing to do. And it taught me a lot about not needing to have validation, not needing to have people praise you for what you're doing, but you're doing something like picking up trash to make your classroom, your workplace, your backyard, your park more beautiful. And no one has to know about it. Just you and the people who are going to now enjoy that clean space. And it can be, he can do quiet things, and it doesn't have to be noteworthy. You don't have to get validation from other people for it.
100%. I just wanted to wrap up, because I know that some people are careful. They want to be done at 8:45. We advertised 8:45. But I think what you said really should be a message for all of us. If we could just walk away from tonight and be like Aussie, and don't just wait for an opportunity. And, if it's okay, if it's something that speaks to you, do it. Like, no, take something now. It's take a message. You're here now, do something for yourself. Take that micro-mitzvah and do it. Just do it, because it's going to bring you to your goal. And why not live that way?
For anyone who wants to, you can go on our foundation website and you can put your micro-mitzvah in. You can also ask for help with it. You can ask me to work with you on it and to keep you motivated. I'm going to be helping monitor it. So go on the Aussie Foundation, write your micro-mitzvah, commit to it. Write it. If you don't write it on the website, write it on a piece of paper, but commit to it. Do it. Let it become part of you. Much hatzlacha. Good luck. You're doing great work.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for joining. It was great to see you all here tonight.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. And thank you, Sue. You're the best.
Thank you very much. That's great.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. May his neshama have an aliyah and your family have strength.
Amen.
May we all have strength.
Thank
This was a lesson for all of us.
Thank
you very much.
Thank you for inspiring us with your ideas.
Thank you so much. Wishing you all the strength.
Can you send the website?
Okay, we're going to end the meeting, but for anybody who would like the recording, it will be made available, God willing, tomorrow. The same place that you went to access the event tonight should have the recording up tomorrow. And again, if you have questions for Sue, she's a great mentor. She's actually a Partners in Torah mentor in her spare time. Although I think, you know, the Aussie Foundation should take a front seat for now. And if you have questions or you want, you know, stuff about the micro-mitzvah, again, we'll see you. Hope to